Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the NECC for another night of college esports. I'm Connor Breeze, and with me tonight is Berkley Stevens. We have a big matchup for you guys tonight in the Challengers Division between Howard Community College and Carroll University. I'd like to start tonight off by thanking our sponsors, HyperX, Helix Esports, ESTV, and the NFL Alumni Association for everything they do with us. And if you're enjoying watching, go ahead and give our other social medias a follow at NECC_games. There are some big performers on these teams here tonight. Yokrub, what do you expect right out the gate coming out here?
I've got the chance to see these two teams play a lot, and I know that Carroll loves to ride and die with the Orisa pick. It's not something that a lot of these teams in the Challenger Division pull out very often, but Carroll is a team that has great success with that wonky composition. It's a wrench that they've thrown into every team they've played almost. And then HCC, on the flip side, they've got Cozy and Niall, who I know as, a previous college coach, that these guys can just pop off in any situation. I mean, I've seen them go up against dive comps, brawl comps, high ground maps, flat maps through and through, and Cozy and Niall can really just bring the heat. What are you thinking, Connor?
I think you're right on the money there. There's always some good things to see from both of these teams composition-wise. You definitely know their team lead, their shot callers are doing all the right things, making sure their teams are on the right targets, focusing the right areas, and playing the right positioning. And that's something you love, love, love to see in an Overwatch composition. You talked a little bit about composition there. What do you think is kind of meta? Do you think there even is a meta right now with the current state of Overwatch?
It's kind of tough to say. Recently just had a patch go through that increased Baptiste's rate of pick, and also like Brig, McCree got the health buff. So there's a lot of things that I'm sure teams are experimenting with as far as a set in stone meta. I think double shield is coming back in a big way, but I also don't think that dive comp has gone anywhere. So I know HCC, they love to run dive DPS and they love to run those brawl tanks. They kind of run that brawl comp dive. They just run at you with a fast Reinhardt. And then Carroll University, I don't expect them to switch from that Orisa pick very much. I think Grim Reaper, if I can remember correctly, is the Orisa player. They just like to plant their feet in the ground and be an unmovable force. So that's kind of what I'm expecting tonight, especially on these maps we got here. Route 66 up first. I mean, that is a map that Orisa really shines on.
Like you said, it almost reminds me a little bit of GOAT's composition from back in the day when 3-3 was still around, having that brawl dive, being able to kind of jump onto all the targets at the same time, but still be able to sustain yourself in those big team fights, especially in those tight corners and those choke points. It's something that's always really fun to play as, and sometimes very difficult to play against. Our first map here tonight, though, is Route 66. What can we expect going into this first map?
Usually you can expect a lot of sniper picks on this map. It's got those very long sight lines. The corners are few and far between on this map, and the mid flanks are plentiful. So snipers can get big flank access here and high pick potential throughout the entire map. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to see from both teams, at least one sniper. But again, McCree getting that recent HP buff really puts him in the mix as someone who can kind of counter snipers these days, especially as Widow just had her health decreased to 175. McCree is a much better pick going into snipers.
I think those different changes to health, although seem minor in the big picture, will be very, very impactful when it comes to those high damage DPS players. Getting a single headshot could be the difference between, a full kill or leaving you at 1 HP. So those are very, very important changes that you're going to definitely see throughout tonight. Is there anything else that, really sticks out about these teams play that people should watch out for, is unique to each one of these teams?
Oh, well, I can't speak too much on Carroll to this, but HCC is a team that has incredible chemistry. That entire roster just gets along great. They're an incredible group of friends, like on campus, off campus. They do everything together, it seems like. So they've just got this natural chemistry built up. So we could see them switch to a whole bunch of different comps and they could still look like a well-oiled machine. But Carroll's actually the higher seeded team just by one. This is going to be HCC as the 5th seed and Carroll as the 4th seed. So we've got a very close game here in the Challenge Division. And it looks like we're about to get underway here on Route 66, Connor. So I'll just go to you for some final thoughts. What are you hoping to see through these 3 maps?
Honestly, what I'm hoping to see through these 3 maps is big team plays, combining your ultimates, not getting lazy, not, going after people where it might be a dangerous pick for you to go into, not moving into bad positioning, staying behind your shields if you have shields, staying behind good sight lines, all the good things that, especially on Route 66, you have a lot of different sight line opportunities. You have a lot of places where you can use the payload to your advantage to not get picked by, like you said, a Widow, because it's long sight lines for snipers in some locations. You know, there's a lot of different kinds of choke points in this map that I think it's going to be very interesting to see what these two teams go with. And now let's see what HCC is going with today. It looks like they have a Pharmacy along with a Moira for those up close fights, with a Zarya, Reaper, and Reinhardt for the brawl, with a little bit of the Pharmacy for that range. What are you seeing from Carroll over there?
I'm seeing Grim Reaper on the Orisa as expected, and Beowulf on the Wrecking Ball pick, at least as of right now. Can really start to mix it up in the back line. Grim Reaper on Orisa is an incredibly stable front line, especially when they're going to be this attacking team. So Beowulf having to mix it up deeper into the field, because Grim Reaper not able to really advance forward that quickly. So Beowulf going on all the flanks that they can, accompanied by Immortal Wind and KTM, hopefully supporting Beowulf in there. But I'm looking to see Grim Reaper hold it down here, as they're just going to set up right on the cart and just push this through the free space all the way up to the first catwalk. And we've got Desired Sloth just playing this Reinhardt corner, very sturdy here, but he's going to be going into a Reaper soon, and that's a ton of burst damage to face down. Already gets the bubble from his Zarya on the wing, but still just kind of holding this corner, both teams in the poke phase. Beowulf trying to make something happen, rolling through on the Wrecking Ball pick, but Cozy up top on the Pharah, already farming up that barrage at 60%, finds the kill onto Immortal Winds, taking down that opposing DPS. And now in the mix, right onto the catwalk, is the entire HCC squad as they gun down Beowulf. And now they've really got the ball rolling defensively. And they're starting to put a firm stop to Carroll's attack.
You know, that first pick on that Echo is so important, keeping HCC having that momentum, because they didn't have a lot of ways to deal with those high-flying characters with their composition. So it's good that when Echo finally did land, they did everything they could to get that pick. And it looks like a fat finger in the backline from Cozy. Unfortunate ultimate usage.
Yeah, you wish you had that one back. Sometimes Q is a little too close to W, and he's punished even more as KTM comes out of spawn with the Mercy Pocket and guns him down on the brand new Ash pick, but the res comes through onto Cozy, so everyone on HCC is back in the mix, and Risaku ended up with the pick onto Immortal Winds, followed up by another kill from Nile onto the main tank of Carroll, as Carroll is in the full back pedal on their way back to the spawn. KTM looking to be the last one to get out.
It looks like HCC here is going to have ult advantage moving forward as well. You know, they're going to have, you know, Nano and Mercy coming up soon for ultimates, but, you know, Moira, they have both support ultimates on HCC right now. They have Shatter. They almost have Grab. They have a big advantage moving into this next fight.
Just a huge advantage in the ult economy, you're right, Connor, but we're seeing a lot of switches come through from Carroll, so they're looking to just change their comp completely and build up a new ult tank, but that Graviton Surge is going to come through to open things up by Reisaku. Paulito trying to combo that Coalescence through the grab, and they end up with the kill onto Immortal Winds, who goes down first again to Paulito's Coalescence that time, and now Desired Sloth claims all the space under the catwalk as the opposing Rhine is kind of playing not so much scared, but knowing he has just fewer resources than Desired Sloth does right now. But this Rhine comp for HCC is just got a great grip on this first corner.
They are playing like a team. You know, they're doing all the little things they need to do. Massive barrage there. Both tanks go down. Lasker goes down as well. Absolutely great usage of that ultimate right there.
Yeah, Cozy making up for the fat finger with a 3K on that barrage, and he farmed it up relatively quickly. We're yet to see a DPS ult from the side of Carroll University, so Cozy really, you know, he broke the bank entirely with that first fat finger, but definitely made up all the ground that he lost with that great barrage we just saw right there. And still with a massive ult bank is the entire HCC team, but you know, Carroll's finally building up some ultimates of their own. They're going to have the Echo Copy and the Earth Shatter. Maybe a Bob this fight. We might see it as well. But I'm looking for the Reinhardt duel. Who's going to block the Shatter? Who's going to land one right now? The Copy coming out. Makes Desired Sloth's life a nightmare. Gets pinned into the backline. Shatter drops and finds 3. But Niles in the backline with a Death Blossom of his own. It's 2 to 3 trades, but Carroll's on top right now. Whoever gets the next pick, it's going to be huge. Grim Reaper goes down, and now it's an even fight. Beowulf finding Nile, kind of sways it back toward Carroll's direction, and I think that HCC is going to give up some ground here, Connor.
HCC is definitely giving up ground here, but they do have a healer sticking with their Zarya. Better sustain here instead of a DPS and a tank. It looks like Reinhardt's going to get back into the fight here. Uneven matchup. It looks like they're going to clash in the last 5 seconds here.
Yeah, overtime about to bleed down. Carroll University back with their foot on the point, but a massive ult bag from HCC about to break loose. Desired Sloth looking to line up a shatter, just trying to deal with Grim Reaper in the front line. Paulito getting a coalescence kill onto the mercy of Carroll. And with Bob in the mix on the point will be stalled out for just a little while longer. Nile with 2 kills in the back line of Carroll. The grab comes through, locking up the tanks of Carroll. And that's going to be all she wrote for the first point, as Cozy with his 3rd barrage of the round seals the deal here on the defense.
That was a fantastically played first round from HCC there. You know, they used their ult economy to their advantage. They combined the ultimates they needed to combine, and they used their positioning to their advantage. They're taking the high ground in times where it would be better to take the high ground. They backed off when they knew they didn't need to push forward, and they could just stall and wait for their team to get back. They were playing very positionally sound, and I think that's what won them that fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. Another thing that I feel like had to do with it was Carroll knew right away that they were on the wrong comp, but maybe took a minute too long to end up adjusting their composition. And by then they were too far down in the ult economy race. And we kind of mentioned it both times throughout the round that HCC just had the ult advantage that entire defense, and it made it relatively easy to just hold down that first corner for as long as they did. But a massive success there from the front line of Howard, just really doing a great job of dealing with the challenging Orisa pick that Grim Reaper throws at other teams from Carroll's position.
You know, and I believe the Echo pick was struggling a little bit. Echo kept getting picked off early, which definitely is a hard thing for a team to deal with. You know, it was just some unlucky picks here and there for Carroll. Let's see if they can bring it back here. You know, I'm seeing an interesting composition from Howard, though. It looks like they have a bit of a pirate ship going here. Double shield with a Bastion with the Mercy pocket for the extra damage, the Baptiste for the Immortality shield, and the Cozy playing Farah, getting some nice high ground damage. Be interesting to see how they play out.
Yeah, Cozy's already shown us that he is a force to be reckoned with, and Nile providing a ton of turret damage atop this payload is going to be a nightmare if Carroll can just not get an edge on it early on this corner. It looks like we're going to wrap around here into the Mega Room and go for as close a hold as possible. Howard does not know that they're there. Reinhardt pins right onto the point and burns the Immortality field of Paulito. And with that out of the way, now the kills are open. And Derpy Eve goes down first. KTM with a very crucial first pick, but the Mercies trade out as Cozy is able to find the Mercy of Carroll. And with the first corner under Catwalk, claim Desired Sloth finds the Fire Strike kill on the last review. And now the front line of Howard is really able to push into Carroll. This Reaper right on the card trying to deal with Nile as quick as he can, but not enough support in the back lines to keep him alive through that. And now it looks like Howard is going to be claiming this first corner by Big Earls relatively freely, but I think Carroll has another chance to touch.
It looks like they're lining up here right behind the sign. It looks like they're definitely going to wait till the very last possible second to get that touch out here. And it looks like they have a Hammond switch as well to make sure they're all coming in, being as contesting as possible. It looks like they're going to clash here in the last 10 meters. Hammond goes in.
He almost has that barrage farmed up. That's going to be the first ultimate we see in this game. No one else is even close. Niles the next on deck. Maybe Paulito with the window, but it's all Howard right now with the massive advantage as Cozy tops it off with the barrage. 3 down in the feed. HCC beginning to just solidify this attack here. They've dealt with the Reaper. They've dealt with the Wrecking Ball. Mercy's the last one on the point. And with 2 meters to go, that is going to be Route 66 to the way of Howard Community College.
Howard did a fantastic job of using their composition to their advantage there. You know, even though Carroll did a really smart play of going around, taking the sight lines away, trying to make it as close of a fight as possible, try to get on top of that Bastion. We got a Mercy play of the game here.
Yeah, Derpy Eve just mixing it up behind the Reinhardt, gunning down Grim Reaper and KTM. Wow, getting a little damage in on the Mercy for Carroll as well. But you really don't see Mercy play of the games very much, and that was a great battle Mercy play we saw right there. So happy to see that.
It always warms my heart when supports are getting DPS plays of the game. It's my favorite thing to see. You know, that was a very quick first game there, but if Carroll can get their compositions back together, start making those little adjustments they need, I think they're going to do very, very well in these next maps moving forward. Now,
yeah, I think Carroll knows what they have to do now.
It looks like the next map that we have on our list here is Numbani. What can you tell, the folks viewing from home about Numbani and what they should expect into this map?
It's definitely a defender's map through and through. The first point is usually a nightmare for all attackers. Very significant high ground advantage going in, and we're going to see Howard defending first on this map. So I'm not quite sure what tanks they're going to pick, but I'm almost certain that Cozy will be on the Pharah. Again, this map has many more buildings to just kind of shield the Pharah while she's up in the sky like that. So Cozy's going to be able to take a lot of very advantageous positions to spam down Carroll.
You know, that Pharah Mercy combination is such a deadly combination. If you don't get enough burst damage in on that Pharah fast enough, the Mercy's going to heal that Pharah back up. You know, the damage boost also getting directed by those rockets could be absolutely devastating for any 200 health or lower hero in this game. You know, and it has a great barrier destruction capabilities. So there's a lot of things that a Pharah can do very, very well that, you know, all these other teams should really pay attention to and see if they can get maybe a hit scan character to deal with it or some other option that kind of puts them in a more advantageous position.
Yeah, and Cozy as well in that Pharah pick, you can do that explosive damage into groups of people, so you're damaging multiple enemies at once, and that really impacts how quickly you can charge an ultimate like Pharah's Rocket Barrage. And we saw Cozy on that first point defense, even though the map never got past the first point, dropped 3 barrages, and one was a little bit of a fumble, but 2 successful barrages in definitely, and we're really just seeing him crank those out and use them at will. So I'm looking to see him play that hero again, honestly.
You know, it would be a fantastic pick, like you said, especially for this map, high sight lines. There's a lot of high ground locations as well. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some more stationary heroes as well that can just sit on those high grounds. Maybe see an Ana take the high ground. I've seen a couple Torbjorns this year playing the high ground with their turrets. I've even seen a Bastion. So, you know, you never know what you're going to see here. But HCC coming out with Cozy on Genji and Nile on Sombra. It looks like they have a dive composition here.
Yeah, and I think that is just as good for the defense as a pharmacy would have been. This is a team that, again, is extremely well coordinated. They've got Paulito on the Lucio, and I expect most of the members of HCC to be staying within that Lucio's radius the entire time. They really don't have a problem grouping up, but it will be a little tough to deal the burst damage they need to if they're not all staying on the same target.
And Carroll out here with a brawl composition here, using the Reaper and May, looking to really scrap it up with everyone. The second they get onto point, we'll have to see how HCC dives into them and if they can get any quick picks.
It's going to be tough with how HCC is setting up right now on this high ground altogether. This high ground is not very easily accessible for the attacking team, so the defense can kind of just win the poke phase outright unless Carroll makes a great rotation of the high ground, which it looks like they're starting to. Shielded in by Beowulf, who's on the Reinhardt this time. Grim Reaper on the D.Va pick. And yeah, we're seeing them go right to the high ground. They're going to take it right to Howard. Howard kind of backing up a little, jumping around the high ground, choosing to kite around Carroll. But now the action is on the point. Genji's in the backline. Cozy taking out the Mercy to start things off. Last Figure goes down, and with no supports, Carroll's going to have a tough footing on this point. No one left alive other than a Reaper and a Reinhardt. And the Reinhardt is zapped down by the Winston. Reaper dealt with by Paulito, and that is a good first defense from Howard.
Howard did a great job of selecting the right targets to dive first. They were so coordinated in the way that they went about it that they got the most important 2 characters to pick first. You know, both supports. Taking healing away from a team in any long team fight can take away all advantage they may have. Carroll did get the Mercy, though, which is the only character that couldn't get a res, that could have rezzed anyone else on the team. So, you know, it could have slowed things down, but D.Va did a good job going back and picking her up from spawn, making sure she's here for this fight.
Well done by Howard. I think Cozy is the player to spectate in this one so far. Already almost has that Dragon Blade. He's doing massive amounts of damage no matter what hero he's on. And it looks like he's the one who's choosing which target to go on. Reisaku closes some distance in on the Reinhardt based on a pin from Beowulf. The May is hacked onto the point, and Reisaku goes right after that kill. Cozy pulls out the blade, gets into the backline, but unable to hack anything down. His ATM races away, but ends up getting cut down in the end by Cozy. Reaper D-Next out of the D.Va suit and finally zapped down by Desired Sloth. 2 minutes on the clock here, Connor. What does Carroll need to do to succeed in this first point attack?
I think Carroll needs to make some swaps, protect their supports a little more. You know, a flashbang from McCree wouldn't be a bad way to go to start dealing with that. Genji, you know, a Moira, they have, but they're not kind of using it as effectively for the heals, making sure they're throwing out healing orbs as much as they can when they hit those fights instead of damage. Things like that they could switch off, and just making sure that they're staying together and protecting their healers, which they know are being targeted first every single fight.
And they're going to open things up on the high ground. The Reinhardt yet to jump down, guarding his support from the dive from Reisaku, who has been frozen by the mate. EMP comes through from Nile, and a Winston jump through by Desired Swap, getting right into the back line, taking out Laskerdu, who's been a vulnerable target in this one so far. But Polito goes down to KTM, and the Death Blossom comes through, but the DM eats all of it. A little bit kills Derby Eve on the Mercy, and now no supports left alive. In this one, KTM clinging to his life alongside his Diva, but he'll get the kill onto the Winston, but he's kicked off point completely. Diva is desuited, and again, it looks like Howard is going to hold this first point.
Reaper possibly getting staggered here. This could be trouble moving into this next team fight, taking away as much time as they possibly can. 50 seconds left on the clock. They'll have to wait for Reaper to respawn here before they can make a full 6v6 team fight. And it looks like they'll need every single bit of help they can to get this win here.
Yeah, it looks like with the ultimates that they've got to work with, it looks like a May ult, Coalescence, a Nano, and coming up on an Earth Shatter later in the fight. But opening things up with a May ultimate is pretty tough going into Reisaku's Diva, because Reisaku is looking to do nothing besides eat that May ult and cancel that ability, because that'll be a crucial, for the team fight to win it for Howard. But opening things up, Niles got the Blade again, looking to engage early. Finds the hack onto the back line. And Cozy's going in, chopping things up. Finds Laskerdu first again. The McCree gets Nano. That saves his life, at least for now. KTM just trying to cling to the high ground as long as he can. Guns down Desired Swap, but Paulito eventually takes out KTM. And now Reisaku is desuited on the point. Carroll finally starting to build some ground, but Cozy with a double kill. The cleanup for Howard Community College as overtime ticks down. Carroll only ends up with 64% of the first point in Numbani.
That was a great last push there. They used their ultimates. They did everything they could to get that point. But, I saw a switch to the McCree there for the flashbang, and even picked off the main tank when Winston dove in. A lot of great thought processes going into that final fight. But, it just was not enough in the end to get them that point.
I think we're going to see Howard probably run the dive comp again, if I had to guess. And that is a composition where if the other team is not running dive, or at least not, Howard might just walk onto this point and erase the Ana.
That is a very, very possible thing here. I would not be surprised if they do come out with a dive, but I'm wondering to see how Carroll is going to play against it. Bit of a switch in compositions here. It looks like they're going to have a Doomfist instead of a Sombra, looking for that quick pick potential, trying to get that percentage on point faster. It seems, try to win this first fight outright. It looks like Carroll is sticking with their composition, but instead of an Ana who was getting picked too frequently, they decided to make the change to Brig to have a little bit more of a self-sustain, be able to protect herself just a little bit better than the Ana play was being able to protect herself. I'll be interested to see how they brawl into each other here.
Yeah, and we see Reisaku also switching over to the Zarya, so Howard's going to run this double bubble composition, which offers a bit more valuable ultimate in Graviton Surge opposed to the Diva Bomb. So Reisaku and Howard are kind of playing the long game here, knowing that they can build a few ultimates and take just 2 ticks at this point. That's all they need. They just have to really hone in on their game plan, and it looks like with Cozy on the Doomfist, that could be a big slam to combo with that Graviton Surge. The high ground setup from Carroll, opening things up. The May drops down rather early, forced out of that cryo freeze, and the dive surrounds her. She's completely swarmed into the corner. Cozy getting the rocket punch kill, and then following up with another one onto the Mercy. Biowolf taken out swiftly as well. 5 members down, make it 6 as this McCree is backed into the Mega Health Pack room, and Howard looking very strong through the first 2 maps as they will claim Numbani as well.
Although that is a win in this best of 3 rotation here, the third game still does matter for playoff contention spots. That could be, the chance between a team making it and not making it, and different placement between 2 teams with the same record. So this next game will still be important, but let's see Cozy with this play of the game.
Yeah, no Dragon Blade needed. Erases the McCree, dashes through the Moira, and now he's just in the mix. No one's looking at him, and he is just a free range Genji as he makes his way through 5 people with a great play of the game from Cozy.
And like we said before, Cozy's picking all the right targets to dive onto. He's making sure he gets those supports. He's making sure he's picking fights that he knows he can win one-on-ones with. He's having his team dive in with him. He had the Sombra plays coming in where Sombra was hacking the target and then he would dive right on top of it. It was some great communication going on from Howard. Now, this last map, Numbani, what can we expect to see? This will be a little bit different than we've seen here. What do you think? What are you thinking going into this last map?
I believe it's supposed to be Oasis. We just played New
Sorry.
but Oasis. That's okay. Control map, no big deal. I think it's a map that offers, 3 unique points. They're very different from each other. You've got that one that has the gigantic hole in the middle that kind of functions like Ilios well. And then you've got the 2 other points that are very brawl-heavy points. One, you can see a little bit of dive action on Gardens, but, I think this is going to play to the advantage of the team that kind of can play more comps as the map switches up within itself. But Control, a game mode where you've got to capture the point in the middle, both teams spawn at the same time, and you've got to hold that objective for 100 seconds for 2 rounds before you're victorious. Connor, what are you looking to see in this game? What does Carroll need to do to turn this one around?
Carroll, I think, needs to just play to their strengths, play characters they're comfortable on, play characters that they've worked on, and have those good team compositions with themselves. They need to play characters that they can build ultimates quickly and kind of deal with what they've seen. They've seen dive, and I saw they made the switch to McCree, and that was helping. They just need to continue making those smart swaps early when they see that they are being bested by, a different composition from HCC.
And right back for HCC, they've kind of shown us a couple of their strengths. Maybe they might have another trick up their sleeve, but I think if they're going to go with what works, we're going to see a Genji or we're going to see a Pharah. We might even see both. And it turns out I'm wrong. Doomfist and Reaper. So that is a rushdown brawl comp we're going to see. So this is clearly a team that has a lot of well-tuned compositions, Connor.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to see the double off-tank composition coming from Carroll, with the Echo for one of their DPS, Reaper for the other, Mercy, Brig for the 2 supports. What do you think about this this off-tank combo moving into this final map?
I really don't mind it going against Rushdown, especially. They just have to know the spacing of that off-tank comp. They've really got to let the Roadhog go on little solo missions. Reaper has to kind of abuse those mid flanks, and the team has to operate in the strength that they can move around the map quicker and provide support to their own teammates quicker. So they've got to spread out HCC around the map and then just kind of isolate those weaker targets. But Firewolf's landing into the backline for some early alt charge, and the early hook too is going to erase Cozy. Immortal Wind's also going down to Nile, so it's a 5 versus 5 right now as the point is heavily contested, opening things up. Lasker getting the pick onto the main tank of HCC is a massive swing of momentum for Carroll, but with the supports trading out right there, it's a battle of Reapers in the backline. Nile rates out of that one, and the hook is missed by Grim Reaper. That could have been a crucial pick again, but Derpy Eve ends up with the kill on the last dude. Nile going down to his counter opponent KTM on the Reaper. So coming through onto Reisaku from Grim Reaper, trying to get that Zarya out of the mix. It's a 3 versus 2 onto the point now, and Violwolf gets pinned from spawn. That's a massive play from Desired Wolf, but the point goes the way of Carroll to start.
Great job by HCC getting back into this fight with advantage here, really dragging that last fight out with the Moira and Zarya. Even though they were down characters, they made sure to keep that point contested as long as they could, so they would be at as little as a disadvantage as possible coming back from spawn.
Yeah, I really liked how I saw HCC get back onto that point, knowing that it was a 4 versus 2. I mean, that is a game sense play right there. You really can't coach that. You can just hope that your players are keeping an eye out for it as those trades come through so quickly. It's sometimes difficult to keep track, but great job knowing that they had the momentum going back into that one. And Grim Reaper opening things up on this left side off angle, getting the early kill on the Cozy, who's been the carry so far for Howard. That's a massive first pick to find. Desire Swap pins into the mix, and it's going to take at least a Graviton Surge to get out of this one for HCC. The Wrecking Ball mines find Paulito, and now Carroll is able to burst through this left side choke onto the point. They're backing HCC into the streets phase of this map. Reisaku clinging to the last line of life that he's got with the Moira in his pocket right there. Reisaku finally does go down. Derpy falls as well, and a flip comes through for
that
Carroll.
Was a very clearly practiced play there. The Hammond was staying on that left side, waiting for the rest of his team to go the adjacent side and, wait for them to be ready. Waits for that first hook from Roadhog and then swings through, knocking the entire team separated, but into the back line of his own team, really separating everyone, making sure they weren't prepared for that team fight, something that was definitely practiced and rehearsed, and I think they executed it very, very well.
Carroll's playing this comp great. You see Grim Reaper open things up and draw all of HCC toward that left side, and then the Wrecking Ball and the rest of Carroll come through for the field, but A high noon from Cozy is going to open things up with a kill onto Carroll's Moira. Biowolf going down off the map, booped off by Paulito, but KTM swings it back, finding both tanks for HCC. Niall trying to be the difference maker with a death block and getting the kill onto Lasterdew and KTM as Grim Reaper also falls for Carroll. And HCC looking like they've got this one if they can just take care of Biowolf, but the movement right now proving to be a lot to handle for HCC. Been alive for far too long. They have not given this one up. 74% and upticking. Biowolf still on this Wrecking Ball pick. This is a fantastic stall coming through from Carroll. They seem to have a lot of strength on this control map. Death Blossom double stunned right there. That was a fantastic play we saw from Paulito, who tops the rally in a ditch effort to swing this one back. Still, though, Biowolf not looking like he's taking massive amounts of damage and looking like he's going to cling to his life just fine. But now HCC has 5 members to focus him down, and they finally will. But, you know, 99%, that is a fantastic stall from Carroll. Got out a few ultimates from HCC as well.
You can tell that they want this game. They don't want to go down easy. They're going to go out swinging. They're going to do everything they can to get this point, to win this map, to win these games.
I think this is the strongest composition we've seen them play, too. It's a bit of a lone wolf comp, but they're playing it to great effect as they really are drawing out HCC and pulling them apart, making it hard for them to peel for each other, which has been something they've been so good at doing. We've seen through these first 2 maps. Right now we've got 4 members of Carroll bunched up on this right side trying to deal with Niall over by the cars. And Niall ends up getting the kill on the Lasterdew, who pokes a little too far on that Brigitte pick. And Cozy patrolling the left flank, looking to meet a Roadhog, gets the stun and runs for his life. That was a close call.
And it definitely looks like the main plan here for Carroll is to keep ball at the opposite side of the map and make sure he can swing through and contest and just basically keep their team turning around for every fight.
Graviton Surge comes through, the DPS erased for Carroll. And it looks like Paulito getting the 3rd kill onto the Moira of Carroll. And his last Cadoodle is removed. This is an impossible task with no supports left in the mix. Cozy pops the high noon to wall off half of this point. Grim Reaper is erased by Niall, who's been a menace on this Reaper. And the first point of Oasis goes the way of HCC.
Carroll doing a fantastic job, though, of bringing that all the way into overtime. They're bringing it to 99-99, making sure they're doing all the right things to make sure that they stay in this match. And I think that they are very, very competitive for the rest of this map.
Yeah, they definitely found their comp. They found their stride that map. And Biowolf really had an incredible performance for half of that point, at least, as he single-handedly stalled out that point from 50 to 99% and kept Carroll in that map the entire time. A little bit of a comp change for Howard. We're seeing Niall go over to the May, so looking to really abuse the front line now and wall off members of Carroll who have been very pesky to deal with so far on Oasis.
Looks like we're going to see a Reinhardt from both sides here moving into this control point map.
Yeah, Biowolf knowing that the Wrecking Ball doesn't have as much room to roam on this one. Poses a much bigger threat on the Reinhardt. The wall comes through, and it's a 3 versus 6 as the wall really makes it tough for Carroll to find their footing. Biowolf goes down quickly to Niall. Desired Sloth takes out KTM. It's 3 members down for Carroll as Howard loses their main tank. Desired overextending just a tad into Carroll, but it does not matter, it seems, as Cozy finds the final 2 picks.
It just seems like Niall was just a better aim for May there, you know, making sure he actually hit his wall. Looks like Immortal was slightly off with their wall, letting the entire team into that fight, while Niall held up to 3 of them in behind the wall, so they could actually get into that fight and keep the team separated. And then again, when the remainder of the team was pushing back to spawn, you know, doing everything he could to just hit those May walls.
Graviton Surge comes through early. Nobody knew that Grim Reaper had it. All of Howard is locked up in that one. Niall gets pinned out of it, but Biowolf goes down for that pin. And it's a 3-2 trade right now. Carroll still has the advantage. Biowolf gets the res. The main tank back in the mix, able to batter the Brigitte of HCC. And I think Carroll's got this one. That was a clutch res and an incredible grab from Grim Reaper. No one knew he had that ultimate yet.
That is a fantastic use of an ultimate to, you know, really change the tides of that fight in your favor there. That was a great ultimate usage.
Sloth having to keep backing up, has that Earth Shatter in the back pocket, able to use it if he needs to, but gets out alive, and now HCC can go in with a full group. They rally, and this is an incredible amount of support to deal with. Good Maywall that time from Immortal Winds, blocking off those main tanks. Cozy coming in with the Death Blossom, taking out one, taking out two, as Lasker falls second. And the Mercy going down for Carroll as well. No supports left alive. May crowd freezing for some stall, but that's going to be about all she can do as she tries to get up, but is eventually erased by Cozy.
Point flips for HCC here. Now it looks like HCC is actually pushing back towards spawn, doing everything they can to stall them as far as possible, even walling off near spawn doors.
Now, this is a relentless display of game sense we're seeing right here, as they know Carroll on the back foot only has 3 members alive going back to spawn, and they're not ready to meet 6 people here. And this is going to get a decent amount of percentage for HCC. Even if Carroll gets out of this one, it might take an ultimate, it might take more, but it's going to be tough to get back to this point before the game ends. They are definitely going to have to use more resources than they'd like to.
You know, that is just some aggressive gameplay, you know, with some good game sense. That is things that you love to see, but hate to be on the other end of.
That's something usually you're not ready for. Desired Sloth on the flank, definitely looking to shatter this fight. Graviton Surge comes through, locking up the front line. And the Maywall, the Blizzard inside, freezes up everybody. 3 are trapped inside. That last group goes down. That could be a massive swing ultimate for HCC as they're down 4 members. It's a 6 versus 2. It looks like the flip will come through, but we saw a lot of ultimates get used from Carroll. They're still got the Death Blossom, which is huge. They're going to need at least that, as HCC is looking to retake this with 4 ultimates of their own.
You know, and it looks like some of them will even combo well together. Nano and Shatter and Nano and Death Blossom are 2 great ultimates they can use. It looks like they're already coming back with the Brig ultimate here as well. Desired Sloth goes down.
KTM stunned out of that Death Blossom, but they've already found the front line. Cozy with a kill, make it 2, finds KTM as well. Paulito with a 3rd on the Grim Reaper. And that is a great display of ult advantage from Howard Community College, as they will get this flip at 99. They wasted no time getting back onto that point, Connor.
They knew they had the ultimate advantage. They knew what they had to do to win this next fight, and they used everything in their power to immediately flip that point and take back control. That was a fantastic play by HCC there.
Play of the game.
Play the game, Cozy, no surprise on the Reaper.
Death Blossom from the high ground, using those teleports to get behind the team to an area they're not expecting is a great use of it. Melee cancel there on the reload. Fantastic tech on the Reaper play. You know, that's just what you love to see.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to give player of the match to anyone, I think it's Cozy, no doubt. He was all over the kill feed on every hero he picked. That was an impressive DPS display we got to see.
For sure. If I had to pick a second, I'd definitely say Birewolf. His Hammond play, you know, bringing his team, keeping his team in the fight from 50 to 99 is a tough thing to do with 4 enemies on point, you know, chasing you around. That's some great movement right there. You know, I'd like to say great games, or GGs to both teams here. You know, that was a fantastic display from both sides. You know, I really like to see all this competitive nature and all these high-level plays coming from our Challengers division. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, HyperX, Helix Esports, ESTV, and the NFL Alumni Association for everything they do. If you liked what you saw here tonight, go ahead and give our socials a follow at NECC_games. I'm Connor Breeze. I've had a great time casting for you tonight. This is my partner, Berkley Stevens, and we are the NECC. Have a great night, everybody.
tell today, maybe tomorrow. people can fall in love so often. I mean, how is that possible? For years, I've found myself in the same position, loving the same person, feeling that love so deeply. Maybe I need to forget it, just move on and be like everyone else. This isn't good for me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the NECC for another exciting night of college esports. I'm Connor Breeze, and with me tonight is Berkley Stevens. We have a huge matchup for the second game of the night in Champions Division between Champlain College and Boise State 2. I'd like to start the night off by thanking our sponsors, HyperX, Helix Esports, ESTV, and the NFL Alumni Association for everything they do. And if you're watching, go ahead and give our other social medias a follow at NECC_games. Now, Yelk, what are you going to look for tonight out of these two monsters of teams?
Oh man, Connor, I've only had the pleasure of seeing Boise State play so far, so I'm really not sure what kind of tricks CCE has up their sleeves. But just looking at career profiles, I'm seeing LTO has a lot of Roadhog time, and the teams that I've seen play that Roadhog, he just acts like an absolute final boss, a menace to deal with. But on the side of Boise State, I'm looking for Quidgible to be pretty much everywhere and anywhere at all times on the diva pick. That's a very talented off-tank player who knows that their role on the team is to eat all sources of damage that are going to come onto Boise State. So that's what I'm going to be looking for here on Route 66. What about you?
You know, I expect high level gameplay, a lot of different moving parts all happening at once, lots of coordination, lots of communication, lots of little things that these teams are going to be doing that are going to mesh so well together. It is going to be an absolute madhouse on your screen. You're going to see ultimates combining with each other almost at the instant. Both players are going to press the ultimate button at the same time. You're going to see great movement. You're going to see longer team fights. You're going to see an absolute brawl for these matches tonight. Now, what's the main difference we'll see between, our first game of the night and the second game of the night? What do you think are going to be the main differences for our audience?
The differences between Challenger Division and Champions Division, which this isn't even just Champions Division. This is rank 2 and rank 3 in Champions Division. So this is what we would call a barn burner here in the broadcasting industry. But what you're going to notice is a big difference in team coordination. In the Challenger Division, big focus is on the DPS's ability to just kind of pop off and find kills all over the place. And then in the Champions Division, you're going to see a lot of players playing with the sole purpose of just defending their own teammates. Like, they peel for each other, and they know where the objective is. They know where the fight's happening, but mainly they just kind of pick a buddy and go with the buddy system and use their composition to its strengths with the amount of peel that they can provide for the other heroes on their team.
Do you think with the mechanical skill level of these players, do you think we're going to see a lot more technical picks? You know, like Widowmaker, even though got nerfed down to 175 health. Do you think that there's going to be more characters that require high skill levels to be played in these matches tonight?
Yeah, I do, but also it's Overwatch. So at the same time, you say those high skill heroes, and then you think of heroes like Lucio, which people might think of as an easy hero, but gets a ton of playtime the higher up you go in skill, because he has such a tight aura that it really takes a high level of coordination to get the most out of that hero pick as a full team. But he's viewed as a hero who's easy to play. But as far as snipers go, I think definitely as the mechanics go up and players get better at clicking heads, those snipers get picked so much more often. Same with picks like Tracer, Genji, Diva as an off tank. All of those are definitely in the cards tonight.
There's some high pick potential heroes in this lineup here that we could see be absolute game changers for either one of these teams tonight. As we're going into this match, 5 seconds until we can start seeing the compositions here. We'll start to see what Champlain College is on the defending side. It looks like you said, there's a Tracer and an Echo for the DPS with a Roadhog Sigma. Nice main tank, off tank combination here with a Brig and a Zen. That's a combination I haven't seen in a while out here in our division. And then what are you seeing over in the Boise State side?
The Boise State side of things, I'm seeing Quidjable actually being on the Sigma pick, and they're running the classic double barrier composition with Orisa and Quidjable on the Sigma pick. So we've got the May also, which can be pretty good as we get into this catwalk phase of first point. But as the map opens up a little bit more, Boise State might have trouble with that May pick getting value, because it's really a pick that shines when the map is nice and tight and you can get the maximum value off of those May walls. And then Narble on the McCree taking advantage of that recent buff. I'm going to be very interested to see what he can do on that very tough to play hit scan pick.
Of course, and it looks like Echo is going to be a good target for him this game. They don't have a lot to deal with those flying characters, so Orisa and McCree are going to have to be ever vigilant, trying to get shots off on that Echo when she goes high, take her out if they have no other sight lines.
And we're seeing Champlain set up on all sorts of high grounds. They've got 5 members of their team up atop of Big Earls, and then Lawyer is holding down this corner high ground on the Tracer pick, playing with a very low amount of HP. Just 150 is all Tracer has to offer, but it's dinked right away by Frost. Uses the Icicle to the maximum value, getting that one click on to Lawyer, and now it's a 5 versus 6. As Champlain just holds this down with the Sigma Roadhog composition. LTO looking to find a hook on the low ground and bring his team back within striking distance. 5v5. Frost gets another one onto Lorino, and LTO goes down to Narbles. A lot of members from Champlain falling quickly as Boise State takes this mega health pack corner, and now it's just Luxy, the only tank presence left on the cart for Champlain, and now he's all out of cooldowns and all out of health as Narbles takes him down.
Frosty and Laura's are going to have to play it safe here, not to get staggered. Frosty goes down, and Laura backs out not to get further staggered. They lose this point, but they're doing the safe play of backing out to their team to be ready for this next fight. 5 minutes left on the clock here. Boise State has a huge ultimate advantage going into these next fights.
They sure do. I'm very surprised to see Frost already has that Blizzard online. Highly impactful ult, maybe one of the most impactful ults that Boise State has in their composition, but Narble's already with the high noon as well. Oh, getting hooked by LTO onto the high ground and erased by the melee final blow. Sigma ultimate, the Gravitic Flux comes through, but comes up empty. Supercharger pops as well on the side of Boise State, and Trox getting the kill onto the Brigitte for Boise State is going to send Boise State all the way back to spawn here as they're on the full retreat.
That Gravitic Flux was almost massive, but Orisa had fortified for it and could get out. Everyone else was prepared for it, so they got to get away and spread out very efficiently there, making sure that nobody got picked by that. That was great play by Boise State there, being ready for ultimates to come out and kind of fighting against them, even though they lost that team fight as a whole.
An early supercharger gets used by Icy here right on that billboard. Doesn't offer a lot of damage amplification onto his team. The line of sight is not quite there from the ultimate, but it's going to be just enough for Narbles to gun down Lorino. And now the window's going to have to come through to get some bonus burst damage in onto Champlain, but Lawyer getting a kill onto the Brig of Boise State. Transcendence pop now for Champlain as that looks to keep their team fully supported. LTO is frozen right in the heart of the action, has the orb on him, but it's not going to be enough as him and Luxy are quickly taken out of the mix. Lawyer getting a counter kill onto Frost, but it's not going to be enough as he goes down last.
Boise State with an absolutely commanding presence pushing this payload forward. They're taking those fights. You know, I see Narbles going around for those quick flanks, trying to get some quick burst damage down on high ground characters, trying to get a flashbang fan the hammer on the Sigma, get him low, push him off the high ground, doing all the right things they need to do to really take control of the different positions. Brig ult comes out.
Larnio just trying to contest on that echo pick, goes down but gets the resurrect. High noon from the back line, finds at least Larnio again right off of the resurrect. Lawyer goes down in a somewhat suicide, it seems. I'm not quite sure how that damage was done onto him, but the supports fall last for Champlain, and the second point is locked up for Boise State.
It looks like Champlain College is going to make some swaps here. And they're going to make some adjustments to their composition. Low ult economy. They only have Bob to contest against the rest of the team here. And Bob comes out immediately and gets walled by May.
Bob blocked by that May while Boise State falling back a corner, burning through their shields, and the brawl comp of Champlain is burning through Boise State right now, Connor.
See, this is the kind of decisions you like to see these high-level teams make. You know, they see that their composition's not working. They make the adjustments to bring it back. They know the layout of the next point, of the next location that they have to fight in. They know it's very close quarters, so switching to that brawl is a very smart decision that they could make, making sure that they can contest for as long as possible with these 3.5 minutes left.
Great job, I think Champlain play style quickly. Comes through, Connor, what's going on? Icy finds a double kill.
It looks like they're using many ultimates. They use 3 ultimates there. Window, Gravitic Flux, and they are just pushing through. Frost getting a quick headshot on Lore, making sure to hit those May shots. Has been doing it all game. Dink the Tracer earlier with it. Now they transfer to the high ground and contest with Champlain. Here comes Blizzard right into the middle of the action. Luxie's not in a good place. Gets out, but not with his life. Coalescence comes out from Frosty here in the back line, but it is a absolute brawl. Immortality Field comes down as well.
Great action here from Boise State. They've got the shield spread out. They've got high ground control with the Brigitte. Not usually the high ground hero you're looking for, but anything to take the space. Shield spread out again on point, creating a wall of damage denial. Icy finding the kill onto Loreno. Lawyer goes down to Narbles and out to 6 versus 4 here on the point. Boise State with a massive advantage, but a shatter drops down to Frost on the May, but they can't clean them up. High noon caught by Narbles. He's safe behind the Orisa barrier. Everyone's staying out of line of sight right now on the side of Champlain. Quizzical gets the kill onto the main take of Champlain. They've got no pillar now. And the Graviton Surge will erase 2 members of Boise State. Can this one swing back? It's just Frost, Icy, and Quizzical on this point. 4 versus 3 with the advantage to Champlain as they start to back out Boise State.
Champlain doing a great job of holding that point with 1:55 left. They also are even with the ult advantage right now currently. You know, they have Supercharger and Grab from Sigma on Boise State side, while they're looking at 2 support ultimates with a 3rd coming from Reaper on Champlain side. They're being very aggressive, taking that top left high ground, possibly looking to drop down onto Boise State here. Boise State realizes they're there and starts poking them, moving them from the position, rotating back to payload. Supercharger goes out.
Anything they can do to just set up this Death Blossom from Larnio. The Gravitic Flux from Quizzical, the first thing to come out. Narbles gets the headshot kill onto Lawyer. The Gravitic Flux countered by the beat drop from Trax. And now it's all guns ahead for Champlain as they push into Boise State, but they're bailed out by an Immortality Field. Frost getting a double kill onto the front line of Champlain, and the cart inches forward toward the finish line. Only 10 meters to go here. 6 versus 1 on the cart makes it easy work for Boise State to finally get this 3rd point, but a fairly good defense from Champlain, who had a flurry of victories along that map.
You know, what you could see from Champlain there is they're making the adjustments. You know, they're doing the things they need to do. They're seeing what's wrong, and they're making their best attempt to switch it up. And I think the further this game goes, the more you'll see the quick changes from Champlain to, you know, kind of combat these different compositions and these different problems that are occurring, which is what you love to see from competitive Overwatch teams. Now, moving into this second round, what are you looking to see from Champlain College to really change things up?
Well, they're going to have to set the tempo here on attack. That's going to be the deal breaker. I think they showed that they can change comps and respond very well on defense to take time off the clock of Boise State. But on attack, opening up with what looks like a dive composition, this is a big change of pace, Connor. The Wrecking Ball and the Winston, Luxie and LTO on those 2 heroes, that's going to maybe be the big swing of momentum that Champlain needs.
you know, for sure that could be a game changer with the Soldier and Reaper coming out as their DPS picks. But you'll have to be careful with this dive. They still do have a McCree and a May that can peel very well for their supports, and their supports can peel for themselves. Baptiste with his Immortality Field, Brig with her Shield Bash and Flail Whip. You know, there's a lot of things their supports can do to stay alive. You know, they'll have to make all the right decisions when diving to really get those picks with going through all those ultimates and side abilities.
Going to see Boise State here setting up on top of Big Earl, so they're going to give a lot of free cart progress up. They're going to let it go all the way to the catwalk, and they've got all 6 members on this high ground again, so it's going to be very hard for Luxy and LTO to pick that vulnerable dive target. It's going to be all about how well Boise State can kill for each other with that McCree flashbang from Narbles, May, Frost, getting that clutch wall in there, but the tanks jump in and the wall denies that value, but Frosty finds the kill on the Narbles somehow, some way, gets that orb around that May wall, finds the angle he needs, and now the tanks are up there in full force, but Luxy, too aggressive, goes down to Icy Club, taken down by Arneo, and now the Wrecking Ball rolls through the front line, trying to get the kill on the Quidable, but can't quite do enough damage to fully erase his health bar. I really like this Soldier up on the high ground, Connor.
Soldier on high ground is doing great work, but it's all about that Hammond right now, splitting their team up, making himself in good positions, communicating with his team for when to roll out and knock them off the high ground and really separate them, even if it doesn't work the first time, resetting up and getting that next pick, staggering the Baptiste here, sending him back to the spawn room. Good decision by him to come in and let himself be killed so he can get back to his team faster without being staggered later on. Hammond doing a fantastic job, like I said, of really setting up in positions that they know you can tell they've worked on before, you can tell they talked it out, you can tell they planned it, and they were ready for what Boise State had to offer.
And LTO on that Hammond pick already has his ultimate, which is a fantastic tool of engagement here, setting up this first fight on the second point. But that was a very fast first point attack, capturing it with 5 minutes, 30 seconds in the bank. Larnio goes down early to Pleb. Rez comes through. LTO tries to find a slam and uses his ult to just deny that high ground from Boise State. The window gets popped from Pleb, and now it's just a big, deadly sight line here for Boise State as they look for Champlain to get into that LOS.
Echo with the May ultimate here, looking to get a quick freeze out. Both Mays self-healing right now. Let's see if Reno can get it. No, cannot get the May ultimate off in time. Winston diving onto it and Primal Raging. Grab comes out from Sigma, but here comes Zenyatta's Transcendence as well. LTO gets the pick on Quidgeable, and they are pushing May into the corner, using wall to get out here. Still contesting cart, but not going to win that fight. A 1v4 is not the way. Even Mercy getting some damage in. Battle Mercy comes out at the very end of that very quickly. It's not looking good for Boise
Champlain,
State.
great job, man. Doing a fantastic job keeping all of that offensive tempo. They used all 6 ultimates right there. Boise State still hasn't quite used all 6 of theirs, but really just keeping that tempo up, using those support ultimates on the tail end of that fight from Trax and Frosty, really keeping the tanks, the front line, just in the action.
You know, like you were saying, keeping them in the action and making sure they are keeping the momentum swinging in their favor. Supercharger comes out by Icy there. Slam comes down from LTO. They're getting picks even right now. Ball still in. Icy goes down from Lure. Pushing forward now. It looks like Boise State is pushing backwards. LTO still moving up, being aggressive as always while they push the cart forward.
They're getting a late kill on the Frost right there. Coming out of the defender's spawn. Now they have to set up a little bit staggered here. 5 versus 6, taking the left side high ground. Icy over onto the Reinhardt. Pick Quidgeable on that Diva that we know he is so good at. Looking to dive in, find something vulnerable in the back line. Dives up to the high ground, trying to take out Lawyer. Deny that damage, but gets bursted down by a very well-coordinated dive from Champlain. He wasn't ready for all of those angles of attack.
They did a great job of LOSing that McCree ultimate as well. And here comes Sights from Soldier. Gets a quick pick on the Baby Diva. May no longer has Ice Block to heal. Dived on by the Winston. Soldier ult still picking. LTO drops Icy from Reinhardt. Coalescence finally comes out, but Frosty Zenyatta ults as well. Ball denies area. Gets 2 picks with it. Narbles and Venium go down. Diva demeched again. C9 without being helped, and here comes Freeze at the end, but it is too late. Round 2 is complete.
Wow, LTO had a great ultimate right at the end to close that round out. getting Champlain that big bank of 3 minutes 43 seconds through the map. That's going to be very helpful going into overtime, as Boise State only has a minute on the clock here.
You know, like I said before, Champlain, all they had to do was make those adjustments to their game plan, and they came out swinging. They were doing all the right things, making all the right adjustments, and playing into Boise State's composition very, very well. And that's what you see with, smart decision-making and hard work. That's what pays off there, getting good map control, good motivation to push forward and get this map win back and turned into their favor. 3-3. We're going to go into the last bit here. Let's see how far this payload can be pushed by Boise State.
Attackers incoming in
Looks like LTO is going to stay on that wrecking ball pick too, which is great in overtime when the enemy team only has a minute to attack, because LTO is going to have such elusive movement on this wrecking ball pick. He can really just have a large amount of time on the cart to just stall the distance that Boise State is able to get. So it's going to be up to the Broncos to deal with him quickly with the stuns that they've got in their composition. There's no shortage of tools to deal with LTO, but it's going to be a just task of tracking him down and dealing with him early in fights.
His movement's been really well, too, especially when playing against a May, a McCree, and a Brig, all which can stop him in his tracks. He's doing a good job of, positioning himself in ways to really affect his teammates and help in the best way possible. Staying in the back line, not even noticed by Boise State right now, getting ready for a big swing to separate them from each other so his team can dive.
He's looking to stall this cart right under the catwalk here, so Champlain can get a couple fights in on this very vulnerable part of Route 66. Looks like he's rolling in right now. Boops 3, slams all 6 of them, already at 50% of his ultimate with his first movement of the game. Warrior unfortunately goes down and has to get picked back up by Trax, but LTO gets that pick into the counterplay, finding Pleb. Icy going down as well, Frost falling simultaneously, and that is a fantastic dive and engagement set up by LTO.
He's doing all the right things that, he needs to do as Hammond. He's splitting up the team. He's taking their attention away from the front line so the characters can be dived. And, it is really, really smart play coming out of this Hammond.
Buxy finding a pair of kills as overtime begins to bleed down. Frost on the Somber pick to stall, but it's going to be no matter there as Larnio finally gets the final 2 kills there. And that is a very winnable game here for Champlain, who had their backs against the wall after Boise State opened up this map with a 3-point capture.
Changing momentum in this game is absolutely massive. Getting ult economy and just really rolling forward when you're winning team fights. Having the other team stagger in one at a time is something that is very difficult to play against when you don't have a full team of 6 going into a 6-man fight. It can be very, very trying to try to get those team fights won, when you keep coming back from spawn into a fight, and it just drags the fight out, drains the time down, and makes it impossible to make any headway.
Yeah, and Connor, what kind of value do you think LTO is bringing on this Wrecking Ball pick, playing it into double shield for the most part?
Playing it into double shield, he's been doing a good job of, for example, in the last time Boise State defended, they were on top of gas station there. He made his effort to knock them off the high ground, get them separated so they didn't have such a commanding positional advantage moving into that first corner. And he's doing a fantastic job of really just separating his team. Even though he has counter picks on the other team, he's making sure his movement is on point so he can continue separating them as good as he possibly can. But we'll see how it goes into dive. Boise State changed up their composition here a little bit.
Boise State setting up right in the spawn. They're in the train cars, and Champlain knows it. They're looking to bait out these main tanks. Icy finally into the cart, but Frost looking to find a valuable hack. Maybe onto LTO. That could be the Wrecking Ball counter they're looking for. But Luxy goes down to Quadruple. This is going to be big. This is going to be the momentum that Boise State is going to have to build on this defense. They have to hold it close. They have to hold it to first point if they want to win this map.
And they are doing a fantastic job of holding right now. They do have the advantage, although Champlain has the spawn advantage here. They're being aggressive. They're staying up. Icy almost went off the map there, but used the jetpack to get on map. He's doing a fantastic job of using the payload as cover. They're doing a good job of working as a team here, and they're counter diving pretty flawless here, except Diva goes down as well as Beanium. Champlain College has the advantage here, 6v4 moving forward.
Boise State was down their mortar player right there, and that's those spawn advantages you were just talking about coming into full effect. as the Lucio and the Diva were just not quite able to sustain through that fight. Narble's getting the kill on the Lawyer, but going down. Lawyer will get picked back up by Frack. And now it's the tank presence on top of Big Earls for Boise State. They've got the supports in the back pocket, but this dive is wrapping all the way around for Champlain right now. Getting right into the back line. Pleb gets taken out by the grappling hook of LTO. Frosty drops Twitchable, and Laranio getting the kill on the Frost is going to be massive here as Champlain looks to find some more. Lawyer getting the kill on Lucio. Icy going down to the final race, but Baylor is finally nearing the finish line. High Noon comes up empty. Diva Bomb comes through, but it's shielded by Luxy. Baby Diva is erased, and that looks like it's going to be Route 66 here to Champlain, who just never said die that map.
And this is what happens when you see a composition, you make your adjustments early on, and you see what you can do right the next time around when you come into the next team fight. As early as it is, they didn't care about giving up ultimate advantage. They did what they had to do to make those picks to win the game, and that is some top tier Overwatch.
Twitchable with a massive gravitic flux right after second point as Boise State was attacking that round. That's a big play from the Sigma, but in the end, it was going to be LTO on the Wrecking Ball pick, proving to be the most valuable tank on Route 66.
You know, if we keep seeing plays like that from him, we are going to see a very easy player of the game. Overall, most valuable player will go to whoever does the most in the game, and right now, LTO is up there for sure, without a doubt in my mind. Now, moving on to Numbani. You know, what do you think is really going to change about these two teams' strategy going in? What do you think is going to change about their compositions and how they're going to, you know, move forward into this new map?
Well, in the Champions Division, Numbani is definitely a dive map. The high grounds surround the entire point. They surround the entire second point, and it's not until you get to third point where brawl comps see a little bit more playtime in this division. But I'm looking to see LTO likely on that Wrecking Ball pick again. He just got such a massive amount of value, especially this is a hybrid map. Once they take the objective and get control of a moving payload, LTO is really going to shine on a Wrecking Ball again.
I think that's very, very accurate. We're probably going to see a lot of counter dive here. You know, we're probably going to see more McCree being played. We might even see some Sombra action, you know, some big hacks coming up, especially if they're going to be dealing, if Boise's going to be dealing with LTO, you know, doing his thing as Wrecking Ball. They're going to start making those counter picks, realizing that he has been the main aggressor, the main problem for them in that last map. You know, they're going to try if they can get some hacks off on him, make sure they can get flashbangs on him and keep him from disrupting their team and disrupting their composition. Now, if they go to a counter dive, that might be another way to deal with it. They might just pick very, very mobile characters, so it doesn't matter if they're being knocked around. They can get back to the targets they need to get to and just coordinate themselves, you know, in a way that makes, no matter how much they get knocked off with Hammond, makes it very, very difficult to stay apart as a team. They can keep diving those important targets, keep diving those supports, and all those, you know, little things that you have to do in a dive to remain effective. I think there's going to be a lot of different aggressive gameplay that we're going to see in Numbani moving forward.
I think that Boise State dealt with CCE pretty well there, especially Frost on that May pick during the start of Boise State's attack, immediately erasing the Tracer, taking her out of the fight, making it a 6 versus 5 for the Broncos. And that really just kind of had the wind in the Broncos' sails throughout the entire Route 66 map, at least in that first round. And it really wasn't until LTO switched that Wrecking Ball, which Boise State did have the counters for. So it's really just going to be a matter of cooldown management on this next map, making sure those stuns and those CC abilities go toward LTO, because you are really going to have to control this Wrecking Ball and not let him spread your team out and make it so it's so hard to support your own teammates.
For sure. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, each team is going to have to do to basically remain positionally sound. It looks like we're going into Numbani here.
Traveling to Numbani.
And it also looks like the schools have switched sides. So we're going to have Boise State defending first, I believe, and then Champlain choosing to attack first. So Champlain will now be the red team and Boise State will be the blue team. But looking like Luxy and LTO setting up on a Wrecking Ball. Zarya, I'm sure that's just for the memes in Spawn right now. I can't imagine they go out on that comp, but if they do, that is the bravest thing I've seen all night.
It looks like we are down a player currently waiting to load in. Looks like it's going to take a second for the match to properly start here. You know, as we're waiting, though, What are some major plays and major differences that you saw in that last lineup that wasn't the obvious Hammond pick, wasn't the obvious DPS plays? Did you see anything from the supports that was pretty significant? Like, for example, I saw a good Moira play where she was making sure not to DPS her brains out when she was using her coalescence. She was focusing on healing her teammates just as much as she was focusing on gunning down the other team. And I think it's always good to see supports focusing on healing even when they have high damage potential, because it keeps them in the fight longer. Is there anything like that you noticed throughout that last match that you think should be talked about or should at least be considered when moving forward?
I think the Baptiste Immortality Fields and the Mercy Resurrects are two silent abilities that just have massive value throughout team fights. We saw a lot of Resurrects where it would be a 5 versus 6 fight, which is very unfortunate to be the team who's going in 5 versus 6, but the Mercy picks you right back up 6 versus 6, and then the team that was just down a member ends up coming out on top in that fight. So support's definitely making the big plays. And then I also noticed Narbles on the side of Boise State really doing a good job on that McCree pick, using his high noons to zone Champlain off the card completely and buy his team a lot of card progress, especially on that first round attack.
Yeah, he's not just going for picks. He's going for utility, which is something that you don't see in a lot of low-level play. So you can definitely tell that these are some high-level players that are thinking more about the end result of the game than just getting those high damage numbers, getting those big kills. It's very team-oriented, and it makes the game so much more complex and better to enjoy when teammates really focus on what is best for the team rather than best for themselves, and it shows.
And we actually have one substitute coming in. It looks like Rezo coming in for Frost, who I did feel like was playing pretty well last map on Route 66 on that May pick. So it's going to be interesting. Clearly, those two have a different hero pool, and Boise State is looking to get a few different DPS heroes out on this new Bonnie map. But Rezo coming in for Frost, I think, is going to be a big move. It's pretty tough coming off the bench in a big game where you're facing a good opponent like Champlain. So I'm interested to see what Rezo can get working here on this first point.
Looks like Narbles is going to be giving up that McCree pick that they had the entire last game. I'll be very interested to see if Rezo is a either better McCree or if Narbles just has the deeper hero pool. What is the big difference between these two DPS players that is making them make that kind of switch?
It might not even be that he's mechanically better. Maybe he just has a different type of play style. Maybe Frost is more aggressive and goes for those cleanup kills that are very hard to find, and maybe Rezo is just a more supportive McCree player who's looking to stun those members of Champlain as they close in on his own backline.
Immortality Field goes down early from Boise State, making sure they survive all the way through that. Rezo 1v1ing that Winston. Winston goes down, Echo dives on top of him. Rezo gets picked. 5v5 currently. Lido on the high ground as D.Va, pushing down and staying alive, but barely, still poking, backing out now. Champlain is going to have to back out. They lost that fight there, although two were picked coming back from spawn for Boise. Boise now getting a little aggressive. Icy pushing forward, now getting dove on and being countered slightly in the front line here. They're going to have some problems if their team doesn't catch up. Rezo finally there to catch up now, but Lorino goes down. Champlain having some problems pushing forward here.
Bean Bomb going down to Luxy right there is pretty unfortunate for Boise State as they push forward, but right now Icy is just bringing the pain into Champlain as he has found so many kills in the kill feed on this Orisa pick. You really don't see Orisa get this much value in the dive, but it looks like he is just Gatling gunning the skulls off of Champlain right now.
W key and mouse 1 are all you need if you're Icy right now.
He's doing it so well. He's hanging so far back on this point too, really making Champlain have to close a lot of distance to get on top of him. And he's also guarding Pleb. Like, those two are just in each other's pockets. It really doesn't matter. But Icy popping the Supercharger from the high ground right now, doing a lot of damage into these tight hallways onto Champlain. The Supercharger gets taken out immediately by LTO, but Frosty falls to Narbles on the May pick, and Rezo finds Larnio. That is massive. Rezo is popping off now as he finds the headshot onto Lucky, and the sub off the bench has the hot finger with 2 kills on McCree in that fight.
you know, Rezo doing a fantastic job of hitting his shots and rotating to good positions. You know, you said he might play more supportive, but if you ask me, he's walking in front of shields and he's trying to get those picks. He is a very, very aggressive McCree player, and he is thriving right now. He is in his zone. He's in his area. Great pops ult.
Crack popping that rally early in the fight. Quadruple using the Gravitic Flux comboed with the High Noon, unable to find any cleanups right there. And the anti comes through onto Rezo, who is 1 HP, primaled off of the high ground, stuck in a duel on the far outside of the map, just getting walked around by this Winston. Finally falls to Lucky. High Noon gets popped on the side of Larnio, who is unable to find any kills with his ultimate, but the value has been there for Champlain all fight long. Diva Mech comes through in the form of a bomb, but does not find Narbles, who is kept safe by that cryo freeze. Quadruple and Narbles go down in the end, though, as Icy looks like he will fall last.
Icy contested as long as possible, but it does not look like Boise's going to get another touch on this point here. It looks like they're going to back out with Rezo, Pleb, and Bean all backing off, trying not to get picked, but still poking to get that ultimate advantage back in their favor. It looks like they already have it, and they're just trying to get further ahead here with Champlain having the closest ultimate being Nano Visor, which is a deadly composition of ultimates there that could be very, very effective for pushing forward and keeping their momentum.
Interested to see if they go for the Nano Visor for the massive kill potential, or if they slap the Nano Boost onto Luxie's Winston to just try and take a lot of valuable space away, as Icy pops the Supercharger by the front of the bus to open things up here, and that'll be enough to amplify the damage needed to take down Larnio. Rezo getting another headshot kill, proving to be quite the cowboy, and getting a lot of value out of this McCree pick. The window comes through from Pleb, amplifying some more damage, and Rezo with another headshot kill on the Luxie. He is all over the kill feed right now. Quadruple and Icy holding down the front line with Rezo, as 2 exit kills from Narbles come through onto the supports of Champlain.
This man don't miss. He's hitting headshot after headshot after headshot. He is doing a fantastic job of getting the maximum damage output as possible out of this character.
He is on an exhibition right now, just flanking around. He is crouching around the first point high grounds, truly behind Champlain, looking to find a massive High Noon here on this flank. Not quite sure how they're going to keep him alive for it. He's really trying to pick his time wisely when he gets in on the engage, making sure not to be spotted. He's sneaking in right now, rolls in, pops his ultimate, doesn't get any kills, tries to find the stun kill on the Frosty, and he will, but he'll go down simultaneously. BD Bomb finding the kill on the tracks with the whip shot, and Pleb with a double kill, as Boise State looks like they're going to hold this second point still. And Connor, this is a different Boise State team than I feel like we just saw.
You know, they're, like I said, it's all about if you can make the adjustment to the team, and I think they're doing a very, very good job of making those little adjustments, beating into the compositions in different ways and playing the maps the best way they know how. And it definitely shows when they're putting the extra thought into these different compositions, even with LTO on ball here and with Echo ulting here with a grab as well. Window comes out. All ultimates are coming out now. All that's left is Visor from Laurer, but Laurer goes down. Window still going through. LTO drops onto all 6. Uses shield, but stays up. May freezing. Luxie goes down, and LTO goes down here. It looks like Boise is going to hold this point very assertively with having Supercharger still in their back pocket for this next fight.
Boise State just had the bigger ultimate tank going into that fight late. It was almost Luxie coming up with a Gravitic Flux late in that fight, but he died sadly at 98%. I'm sure they would have comboed that with Lawyer's Tactical Visor, and that would have been massive sway potential there for the Champlain Beavers. But right now, it's another attempt out of spawn as they were unsuccessful in that last fight.
My guess is they're going to Gravitic Flux and then damage boost that soldier here. Here comes High Noon, but gets no one. Got you in your sights. Yes, he does. Shield goes down, and Laurer is pushing forward here with his Nanovisor. Picks Icy.
Looks like this is going to be countered by that rally entirely. Boise State kept it alive perfectly by Beanie Bomb. Pleb drops that window into the action here, and the amplified damage is not quite enough to take anyone out through that Transcendence. as Frosty marches forward with the rest of his team at full HP. Larnio getting the kill on the Beanie Bomb. Builds a lot of momentum here for Champlain. Takes out the Immortality Field. Now they've really got them on the back foot as Narbles goes down as well. Larnio really getting some kills on this Reaper pick, getting nice and close, doing tons of burst damage with those shotguns. Second point looks like it's about to wrap up here as it reaches the finish line there. 1 minute 30 on the clock here, Connor.
You know, Boise State on their heels right now. You know, they're seeing that Champlain is making those changes, and they are being very, very aggressive with them. Bean was a little aggressive on that last play, got separated from their team, going after a quick shield bash. You know, you got to minimize those little mistakes and kind of work with your team positioning-wise, so you'll be able to stay in the fight longer and be more effective as a whole. These are things that you're going to have to do to stay in this match now with 56 seconds left on the clock. Icy pushing around the corner here, going for a Gravitic Flux here, and gets two, but no one fully dies from it. Down goes Rezo to Lawyer. Luxy goes down as well. Reaper on the man in the background here. Fades out. Boise State holding on to this point here.
Kills coming through. Lawyer goes on an absolute journeyman's flank. Larnio and Lawyer end up going down finally, but I mean, they're taking some very advantageous angles here on the Reaper and on the Soldier, really trying to cut the distance to the backline as quick as they can and just avoid that double shield comp. Now we've got Luxy switching over to the Reinhardt and LTO over to the D.Va, so the Reinhardt D.Va rushdown is going to hopefully be the final trick that Champlain has up their sleeve on this attack here.
Well, here comes Visor and Transcendence, and Beyblade is ready. It looks like Rezo's going to get the pick on Lawyer, even though he visored. We're going to have to wait to see if Lorino gets that Reaper play here. Gets stunned out of it.
Wow.
Going to have to back off here. Fantastic stun, preventing his ultimate going through. Window comes up now from Pleb. They are holding, using the cart as much cover as they can. Shields getting broken left and right here. Reinhardt pushing forward, just swinging into the other team. D.Va going into it too. Here comes a huge shatter onto Quibble. Can he go on it? Rezo and Narbles both go down here. Coalescence comes out. Immortality goes down, but only on Quibble here. Gets his ultimate off, only gets Lawyer. Still stays up though. And it looks like Boise State is going to get pushed back into spawn, and there was nothing they could do there with Champlain's absolutely monumental push at the end of that round.
That's still a far cry from where we were if you're Boise State on Route 66. Route 66, you gave up 3 points with 3.5 minutes. There you hold them to overtime, and here on Hybrid, if this one does go to overtime, if Champlain is able to get all 3 points with over a minute on the clock, if Boise State is able to get all 3 points with over a minute on the clock, that will deny Champlain a second chance at attack. So that is a pretty good defense despite giving up 3. A great answer from Boise State onto LTO's Wrecking Ball, and they really had Champlain switching around their heroes a lot more than I feel like Champlain would like to.
You know, it's all about compositions and countering characters, and these two teams do that very, very well. You know, they think about their counter picks, they think about the ult economy, and you can see them separate when they know a Gravitic Flux is coming through. You can see them, you know, LOS when Soldier is using his visor. You can see that when they're using High Noon. You can see all these smart little plays that if you don't pay attention and you're not really thinking about what the next step is and what the other team has to do to win the next fight, you'll just start losing fights over and over and over again. These teams are doing that forethought very, very well moving into each and every round.
And it looks like we're going to see pretty much no changes on the side of Champlain, as LTO will stay on that Wrecking Ball. Luxy looking to play his favorite hero, Sigma, and then Larnio on the Echo, which they've opened up on every round so far, and Lawyer on the Soldier pick, going on those flanks, using that sprint ability and just accessing all parts of the map as quickly as they can. But Boise State rolling up onto the high ground to start things off here. They're running the double barrier comp as they like to do. Quickerbull opens things up just by denying some damage, building up some shields. LTO slammed into charges ultimate up to 22%, and Larnio already up at 40%. It's going to be a tough task to take this high ground for Boise State, Connor.
Pleb already has window after that initial slam and fight, but they are still losing health left and right, loses immortality field. LTO already slamming the other enemy team again, over and over and over again. Champlain doing a very good job of keeping them separated. Boise doing their best to stay together. Lawyer goes down.
Marvel's really getting in the mix there on the May, just freezing Lawyer as he tries to flee to the high ground. Baptiste window finally coming through here from Pleb, and that's going to amplify the damage it will need to for Narbles to get the headshot kill onto Frosty to be a one-tap. Rezo's rolling deep beyond his own shield right now as he takes out two, but goes down to Echo's grenades. But that should be enough here as Boise State takes the first point.
Like I said, Rezo is a very, very aggressive McCree. He will get in your face. He will try to hit you with flashbangs off cooldown. He will try to hit as many shots as he can in any dangerous positions. He does not care about his own life. He just cares about getting those picks for his teams. And honestly, I love to see it.
Yeah, just turns the aggro dial up to 10. He's just cranking it just over his front line, just getting past his own shields. Like, he's really not being kept safe by his own tanks half the time, going for these confirms. And it's really interesting to see the playstyle difference we're seeing between him and Frost from last round. It seems like Frost was the more passive McCree, which plays to their strengths going into LTO, but it seems like the pick potential from Rezo this round is really starting to bring the heat, and Champlain is having a tough time dealing with it so far.
He is just really using that extra 25 health to his advantage.
Sure is. LTO opening things up here with that Wrecking Ball, dropping in those proximity mines, but Narbles moves forward with the May ultimate, trying to freeze up the front line of Champlain. Lawyers in on this high ground left side flank, just raining in the lead into Pleb, and that's going to bring him down. And now it's looking like LTO is sweeping through the back of the bus, just dismantling the front line of this Boise State team as they're struggling on this second point. It looks to be a bit of a speed bump up. Beanie Bomb getting the whip shot kill onto Luxie. That'd be a swing in momentum, some wind in the sails. It looks like the bus is still claimed right now for the Broncos, but all sorts of off angles are set up right now for Champlain.
You know, Soldier having that high ground and being able to have that self-heal is doing wonders for him for keeping control and keeping that damage onto Champlain here, or onto Boise here. And he is doing a fantastic job of just applying pressure at all points. Although gets picked by Pleb, and down goes LTO as well. Baptiste with those two quick picks. 3 on the high ground for Champlain College, but checkpoint's going to be taken by Boise.
Lawyer and LTO probably should have played a little more safe right there. They were their team's only stall potential, and that was a contestable second point, and crucial as it looks like they're going to be going into this third point with 4 minutes 30 seconds in the time bank, which is a massive amount of time considering you just held the enemy to overtime.
You know, this is a very, very good position for Boise State here. You know, as long as they can keep this payload moving and keep winning these last couple team fights, they will be in a very, very good position for overtime here.
High Noon tries to get walled off on the right side, but Lawyer ends up cleaning up Marbles. Icy finding the kill onto Trax. Rezo going down to LTO. It's Boise State with all the offense, but right now it's Champlain with the pick advantage. Quizzical getting LTO, but going down, paying with his life. The Lawyer, and it looks like the frontline Luxie is holding strong here as he starts to back off Icy, sending him back to spawn eventually.
Champlain now has that spawn advantage where they are very, very close to their spawn, so they will come back one after another, and they'll be able to get those team fights back fast if Boise State does not win the team fights quickly. If they have long and drawn-out fights, Champlain is just going to be able to continuously feed themselves into the fight and prolong it and to eat up a lot of that time.
Boise State is tracking ultimates well. They should know that they have a 3-0 advantage in the ultimates, but Trax getting that first kill on the Beanie Bomb is massive, but Rezo from the high ground takes out 2 with the High Noon. Narble getting the third kill as Trax goes down. Tio, though, with that backline kill. Make it 2 as Pleb goes down to a fire strike. Icy finally cleaning up Lux, but it looks like with just 3 members on the cart, this might not be enough here to finish this map.
It looks like Reaper's going to go down quickly. Moira has the contest here. Can she fade onto it? Soldier firing off. Are they going to C9? Good job by Reinhardt getting onto the payload and having Boise be pushed back here. Not ready for this 6v3 here. Teams are going to get ready around this corner for the next clash. Sigma Rock goes out. Fire Strike as well. Eaten by Sigma here. It looks like they're back to the poking stage. 5v6 waiting for made around the corner, and so it's a 6v6 fight with window being popped as well by Pleb here. Pushing forward, just trying to get those quick pokes and quick picks. Rezo goes down to Laura.
And a little too aggressive on the outside there is Rezo, but that's been his playstyle all game, and it's been paying off, so I'm sure they're not going to tell him to adapt any differently. But with 5 versus 6, it looks like Boise State is choosing to back off here. Still, they have a minute to capture this point and deny Champlain a second chance at attacking.
Doing a good job of playing it safe, but trying to build their ultimates now. They have 3, almost 5 ultimates. They are doing a great job, but Champlain also has a high ultimate advantage, almost 6 ultimates here. We'll have to see whose ultimates are used more effectively. We hear both Coalescence and Beat come down. Here comes a Reaper ultimate as well. Ultimates are flying off spawn. The second they get them, Qs are coming out. Here comes Freeze as well. Lido gets frozen. Hammer comes out too. Hammer's Narbo. Bomb coming from D.Va now. Supercharger as well goes down. All ultimates are being used.
And playing it's really clinging to this one right there. Beanie Bomb finally getting the kill onto Lawyer. Quidable finding Luxy and Larnio going down as well as Boise State finally begins to build some momentum here. D.Va is desuited. Trax is taken out of the equation. Baby D.Va finally dealt with 1 minute, 4 seconds on the clock, and they get it in the nick of time. 4 seconds from the window of time where they would have denied Champlain that second chance at attack, and they succeeded. So Boise State coming out with the advantage after the first round here on New Bonnie.
Incredibly close to that Reaper teleporting onto the payload for that contest as well. It was mere seconds from changing the outcome of that to less than a minute to, you know, having that contest and having that minute 4 left on the clock there. You know, great work by both teams in that last team fight, but Boise just doing what they got to do to get that time advantage and move forward, denying that attack like you said.
And I wonder what it is, if it's just cleaning up the comms or if it's really focusing those cooldowns a little more, but they seem to deal with LTO a lot better this round. I mean, obviously the time bank speaks for itself, but maybe it's Icy on the Orisa just playing a tank that can just more firmly stick itself into the ground and not budge as the Wrecking Ball rolls through. I'm not quite sure what the answer was, but it seems to be working so far for Boise State.
Now, Boise's got a lot of counters for that ball. You know, they have the flashbang, they have the freeze, they have the bash, like we've said before, you know, and then having Fortify on as well for your main tank, you know, that is something that makes it very difficult for your team to get spread out and spread apart and makes a ball's life very difficult.
Connor, you were a college esports player. What is it like in esports, compare it if you can to regular sports, coming off the bench? How do you warm up? How do you make sure you're ready when you get in that game? Because Rezo came in and he has been an absolute difference maker so far.
It's all about your warm-ups pre-game, you know, making sure that you are ready for that game when it starts up. You know, there's some programs that have lots of computers ready and they can start practicing while the other team is playing, while they're in the sidelines, you know, just playing in shooting range and making sure they're hitting their shots. But down goes Rezo playing Reaper here, getting into this fight with Boise State going underneath, trying to get quickly 2-point with as much coverage as possible, but Champlain stuffs it right at the doorway here. Boise having to regroup and pushing back, waiting for their Reaper from spawn.
I really like this Reinhardt D.Va composition we're seeing from Champlain. I think Reinhardt gets a huge advantage, especially in that part of the map, on that low ground, in those tight doorways, with those massive cleave hammer swings that he can just apply. But the window coming through could be huge, as a ton of damage is amplified right onto Luxy's shield. He's really able to hold his ground up there with just the mortar pocket and Track supporting him on the Lucio. But Rezo finds Luxy, finds Frosty. That's 2 down, as Boise State is trying to build some momentum. It's a 4 versus 4 right now on the point. Rezo removes the D.Va out of her mech. Icy getting the kill onto Lawyer. Larnio taken down on the Reaper pick as well, and that should do it. The tick will be captured. Numbani goes the way of Boise State. This is a 1-1 game.
Everything comes down to this last map here. You know, this was a fantastic back and forth from Champlain and Boise, but let's see what the play of the game was.
Oh, the man himself. It's High Noon somewhere.
Shuts down the soldier visor there, gets a triple kill, and then cleans up, stays on cart, gets shots off on the Ryan, prevents D.Va from getting that charge damage off. Fantastic flashbang there at the end. You know, that was what you love to see from an aggressive McCree. He might be slow moving, but he gets to where he needs to go.
It was a heads up flashbang too. I mean, that flashbang was the only reason his teammate was kept alive right there after being earth shattered. So great job on the offensive side of McCree, tasks, and on the defensive side, supporting his teammates, keeping them alive. Not something you see a lot of DPS players do, but something in the Champions Division that every DPS player on the winning team will have to do.
Those are the kind of plays you wish for when you're playing on a team, and that's the kind of stuff you want your DPS to be able to do. Have that team thinking mentality, try to save as many people as possible, not just DPS your brains out. And it is an absolutely monumental thing to see in action. Now, we're going to the next map here, Oasis. What are you thinking these teams are going to make for their compositions moving into this final map?
Well, Control is a map style that really does favor a wrecking ball, because if you take control of the point, we saw this in the game that happened earlier tonight between Howard Community College and Carroll University, where the wrecking ball was single-handedly able to get his team 50% of the objective as the rest of his team was taken down. No one could track down this wrecking ball because of his movement abilities. So I'm looking to see LTO, maybe even both teams come out on the wrecking ball. But if I'm Boise State, double barrier just worked incredibly well. I would imagine after you lose the first map and you win the second, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're going to play with what just worked for you. So I'm looking for Boise State to come out on double barrier, but Oasis is a map where you can really play anything.
There are so many different options, like you're saying, on Oasis. There's a lot of high ground for sniper targets. There's a lot of mobility areas, a lot of flank routes for characters that are faster, Tracer, Ball, Sombra, all these characters that can really get moving around the map at any time. There's a lot of different ways that you can go into playing this point. Now, it does seem like Wrecking Ball would be the way to go in this map, just based on, location and what we have seen that has worked in the past for either these players themselves or, other teams earlier today. It looks like we're going to be here with this main contested point with the hole in the middle of the floor. That can be a very, very disheartening thing when you have characters that can knock each other around. This can be a very fun map, but difficult map to play on.
Yeah, it's weird having that hole in the middle. You treat it kind of like Ilios well, where, a big brain player will boop someone down in there and make it just kind of a long task for them to traverse the map and get all the way back into the fight. So it's essentially like being killed for a few seconds as you have to make your way back up that staircase. But here on Oasis, anything's possible. We could see Orisa Roadhog to take full advantage of that central well, or we could see double shield dive comp. It's really anyone's game here.
Of course, and it's almost the worst stagger possible, getting knocked into that hole in the middle of the floor. It takes a good 8 seconds to get out of that hole, and then with the entire enemy team there to finish you off, that is a very, very long time where you're not able to help your team in any way, shape, or form. It looks like we're having some connection issues with some of our players. We're going to restart this map here and make sure everybody is in and ready to go. It looks like Frost was having some problems, but Quidgible, sorry, my bad. Quidgible was having some problems, but we're back into it. Starting up, ready for these teams to go.
I was looking at career profiles and I see that LTO, his favorite hero is Roadhog. I would love to see him play it here on Control. I think Control is the game mode that favors Roadhog more than any other game mode, but it looks like he's gonna open up in the spawn room on maybe a Sigma. I'm not quite sure what he's thinking with that pick, but I don't know. And then on the other side of things, Quidgible and Icy. I think Icy has just been a force on Orisa, charging that supercharger incredibly quickly. Such a high value ultimate for a team of 6 to get an incredible amount of value out of. But going into Oasis, could see some Reinhardts. This is a team where you can just run the rush down, close the distance quickly on the left side of the map, get into that mini health pack room. But this is a game mode where you have to hold the central objective for a total of 100 seconds for 2 rounds in order to claim the map. And getting underway here, 20 seconds until the action. It looks like Boise State will open up on that double barrier with Rezo on the McCree still. And then on the other side of things for Champlain, Luxie on the Reinhardt and LTO on the Diva pick.
Now we're seeing a McCree on both sides here, but Larno switching to the sim here, maybe looking for a teleport or some turrets on point here, maybe to keep good positional control of this point here. Switching back to the Reaper. Not sure what they're going to play, but they're moving forward now without him. Finally coming up from the back line. Diva almost gets booped into that hole in the very beginning. Rezer goes down. May gets out with Maywall.
Luxy is just establishing the front line here, putting the big red rectangle in front of Boise State, denying all damage from coming through. And now Champlain is just tucked in on this front left side corner, which it looks like they're cornered, but really they're denying that entire entry to the point away from Boise State. But with their member back in the mix now, it could be anyone's game. Larnia Telly's in on that Reaper pick. The point actually goes the way of Champlain, despite Boise State being incredibly close to the point. Looks like a ton of kills trading out right now. Boise State with the advantage. They've got 5 members alive to Champlain's 3, and they flip it back at just 9% caught.
It looks like Champlain is in not a good position here, you know, getting staggered at the very end with Larnio, Trox, and Laurer getting picked at the very end there after point was flipped, not being able to get that contest in. It looks like they're going to have to wait and kind of stagger in one at a time, you know, still poking already, you know, finally getting back together with each other and finally making a cohesive push with Boise backing off. Laurer dropping the high noon, trying to get a good sight line, breaks shield, but doesn't get any picks here. Here comes Gravitic Flux, but Trox and Frosty. Here comes the beat.
Oh, he gets sniffed out, man. He's so aggressive. I don't know how any McCree can just get away with what he gets away with, but that time he was punished. Coalescence has to come out here for Frosty. Luxy dropping the slam, but he ends up in the well. That is incredibly unfortunate. That is a long walk back to the top of the point.
Massive
lets loose the supercharger. Yeah, the Blizzard coming through too, trying to freeze up the tank, but unsuccessful. Narbles only getting 1 kill there. Make it 2. Frosty goes down. Boise State still defending this point successfully.
You know, let's talk about that huge flail whip by Bean there that knocked that Reinhardt as he shattered into the hole, making his shatter completely irrelevant and taking him out of that team fight. That was a fantastic use of your abilities.
I must have missed that one. I wasn't quite sure how Luxy ended up down there, but right as he earth shattered, that is quite disappointing there. Lawyer erasing the immortality field. High Noon comes through, but comes up empty. Rezo taken down by a fire strike. Larnio getting the kills with the Death Blossom. LTO throws a bomb over the top and finds a 2K as he remix. He takes out Beanie Bomb. And it's a 4 versus 3. They've got Boise State cornered. Icy goes down. Quidable falls as well. And at 95%, this one will go the way of Champlain.
I'm on fire.
It looks like ultimates are fairly even going into this next fight here. You know, Laura still has High Noon, and they're coming up on Beat and a few other ultimates with Brig on Boise having Rally, and then coming up quickly onto Freeze. You know, it'll be very interesting seeing with how the ult advantage goes here and how this fight goes. Lucio flying into the enemy backline. Off rip, here comes the High Noon. Rezo goes down again.
Looks like they're taking their foot off the gas a little. Although they've got the pick, they're not going to be baited in by Boise State. They're not going to get too aggressive here this time. They're not going to play with any more fire than they need to. 45% and upticking right now for Champlain. Beat drop comes through, looking to engage early on in the Broncos as they're looking to batter Icy and Narbles, and they do successfully. Flux comes through by Quidable, which is able to take out Lawyer and Lorino for the final bit of burst damage, but Luxy holding down the front line on the left side, has the Coalescence backing him up. The rally comes through now from Beanie Bomb, trying to get his team onto the point, fully supported. Rezo getting the kill onto Frosty. The main support removed now for Champlain. The window amplifying tons of damage, which can no longer be healed by that Moira. Diva drops the bomb in, but it finds nothing. However, Icy gets the headshot kill onto LTO before he can remake.
It looks like Boise is in a good position here. You know, Champlain is backing out here. That fight really started with an early use of Beat, which caused the grab to actually get a pick onto Laura. Luxy goes down to Icy there. Rezo gets picked as well. Laura finally firing from the back line, but walled off again. Here comes Reaper ultimate, picks Narbles.
And the supercharger from Icy coming through on the staircase, amplifying some damage for Boise State here, but Icy goes down as well as the supercharger. Rezo getting the kill onto LTO. That's good to take out the Wrecking Ball early. Finds a second one onto Larnio, but is it enough? Rezo finds a third on his own. He's king of the castle here on the point, just claiming it for himself. And that is round 1 to Boise State.
Rezo really cleaning up those kills at the end of that fight, making sure his team was going to keep that point. You know, he was having some problems earlier in that round. He kept getting picked early, and he was having some problems winning his 1v1s, but he really made up for it where it counted at the end of the round.
He sure did. I mean, I would love to see what his hero pool consists of besides a McCree, but at the same time, I mean, when the McCree is going this good, it's hard to swap off of the Cowboy. Having a little fun in spawn, showing that he wants to maybe click the Reaper or the Honda, but I would imagine he comes out here on McCree again because, you know, he just came into this game. We said that LTO was our candidate after the first map for player of the match, but I think since Rezo has come in, he has just been the biggest difference maker in this lobby.
He is definitely an experience watching him play for sure.
He sure is. What do you think about this Reinhardt Diva coming out of spawn again? Didn't quite work. However, we did just have a close round on this last point of Oasis.
You know, there is something to be said for Diva being able to play the high ground when necessary and go back and forth between low ground and high ground. Huge boop by Trox onto Narbles. Narbles goes down early. Cridgeable takes out the turret.
He gets
Here comes another boop. A double. Absolutely massive play by Trox here. Takes another one down. Cridgeable goes down as well. And those boops are what won that fight there. Trox doing a fantastic job of utilizing the map to his advantage. They wanted high ground, and he said no thank you, and removed them from the game and sent them back to the spawn.
Oh my god, it's a front row seat for the tanks of Boise State to the Trox show as they're both sent in off the coast into the drink. That's a fantastic play as the Lucio offensively gets in the mix there. And now Luxy is able to set up with the Torb and the Reaper. First damage in his back pocket.
You can tell they're not trying to take that high ground again. They've learned from their mistakes, and they're pushing main gate here.
Right, and first it down quickly as Luxy as he tries to mix it up in the front line. Rezo getting 2 kills though. Could trade it back for Boise State. And they keep Larino alive. No, he goes down to another headshot. Rezo is a man on fire. All alone, claiming his own angle. One member left on this point here for Champlain. Taking down the Lucio. Finally goes. Diva's D-next. And it looks like it's a flip here at 50%. But a fairly good attack to start things off here from Champlain.
Trox's back must hurt from trying to hold that point for as long as he did after winning that first fight with as many boops as he had. You know, he did a fantastic job of playing that position and, you know, doing everything he needed to do and everything he could possibly do as that support there. Great job by him.
And it looks like Champlain will dangerously go up to this high ground. There's no Lucio on the side of Boise State, but still, Trax! He tries to repeat the first fight of the game, but he goes down early to Rezo, who finds a second with the high noon. Quadruple getting the Gravitic Flux kill onto LTO's Diva mech, and it looks like this one will still be upticking for Boise State.
Rezo doing his thing, getting those picks, playing aggressively, doing all the things he needs to do. You know, combining ultimates there. He is playing a fantastic game.
Sure is. Used that high noon last fight. Found 1 kill with it. I was figuring he was just using it to reload because it seems like he's a McCree who's cocky enough to get away with a move like that. But here we're seeing the Supercharger open things up, and it looks like Champlain is just going to wait this one out. So this is a 6-second ultimate, I believe. Maybe it's 8, but it's going to be free percentage any way you put it. And the Baptiste window amplifying damage as well. A big heads-up loop from LTO. Knocks Boise State off of that high ground, and May will have to use her Blizzard to freeze up Luxy and take the pressure off of the Broncos.
Lots of beats coming out here. Beat dropped by Lucio as well. Bomb goes off, and Molten Core comes now from Torbjorn. Torbjorn goes down to Narbles. Narbles gets a headshot there, but it looks like Boise State is going to back out here after using all those ultimates. Rezo still has high noon moving forward, but other than that, ult economy is fairly even.
And you love to flip the point right there if you're Champlain, because 77% is not final fight territory. Usually it takes 85% or higher to get to that final fight territory. So they know that even if Boise State takes this one away from them, Champlain has at least one more fight to get it back.
You know, and like you said, it's all about coming together as a team and using that time effectively, making sure you get that last fights in when needed.
Luxy closing the distance here, getting a few crucial hammer swings in, charges that Earth Shatter up to 95. I'm looking to see him drop down a big slam onto the front line here, but the double shields make it impossible almost to get this Shatter through. Rezo going down early to LTO. That is a crucial pick. He's been the difference maker. Shatter finds a couple. Larnio and Frosty clean up those kills swiftly, and it looks like the front line established by Luxy will be all it needed to, as 99% brings us to overtime. It begins to tick down. Pleb is the last to fall this round, and this is going to pretty much a Game 7 atmosphere, Connor.
That is exactly what is coming here. You know, the very last match of the night. You cannot tie here. It is win or lose, do or die. That is what this match is coming to for these teams here, with playoffs quite literally around the corner. This is an important match to win.
Yeah, last game of the regular season for these teams going into playoffs. I mean, you would love to be the team that wins their last regular season game, because you always want to go into playoffs with momentum. This is the rank 2, the rank 3 team. So both of these teams, of course, going to be in the playoff picture, but one of them might feel a little deflated after tonight if they receive a loss, and one of them will feel maybe on top of the world for beating a good team on their last game of the season.
I'm a firm believer that momentum is important, whether in game or between games, between matches. Momentum is very important. You know, it keeps you going at a good pace. It keeps you doing all the things you need to do.
No surprises here. Boise State opening up on the double shield with Rezo on the McCree and Narbles on the Maypick. Lawyer on the Soldier, creating a massive off angle going around the left side, just trying to shoot at the side of Boise State as they look to set up here right on the bottom of the staircase. Connor, what do you see LTO doing on this wrecking ball right now?
I see him almost get picked at the beginning of the fight, but he's looking for some angles. Great drop by LTO. Gets Quidgeable. Luxy finishes off Beam, and LTO finishes off Icy. Both tanks are down now. LTO doing his thing to separate people as fast as possible. Loro getting some good picks on Pleb and Rezo. Narbles goes down to Lornio, and it's looking like Champlain is going to hold this point for the time being.
That wrecking ball slam is just so much burst damage onto a group of people. You can just pick your favorite target in the shooting gallery to just erase, because everyone is going to be 1 HP after a play like that from LTO.
LTO doing all the right things, managing to get out when he was brought to one shot by the prepared Boise State team. But, you know, that second time he comes in charging, they were not ready for that big slam.
Now Boise State's looking to set up this high noon with 2 shields. Can they get him to the high ground spot that he needs to be? It looks like Champlain is smartly hiding from that high noon. They're not even allowing the sightline to come through. Another big slam from LTO, knocks 4 up into the air, and now LTO is going to have that wrecking ball ultimate online. Same with Luxy. That is a big combo with the Gravitic Flux and the proximity mines coming through, but Pleb opens things up here with the window, amplifying some damage, knocking Champlain to the backside of the point. The sight lines are erased now, but still the ground is hard to gain for Boise.
Champlain has all 6 ultimates now, using Mercy ultimate, staying very safe, holding that high ground with her and Echo. Echo finally ulting here. 2 ults have come out now by Champlain. They still have ult advantage here, but here comes Soldier with sights up top on the high ground. Gets a pick on Pleb with Echo. Fiend goes down as well. Down goes Icy. Down goes Quidgeable. They're holding very, very firmly at 77%. They still have Gravitic Flux. They still have Hamidult. They still have Transcendence. It is not looking good for Boise State here. They're going to need to have a big fight win with minimal ultimates coming forward into this next point. At 88% left, 90%, 10% left on the clock. Let's see if they can get a good final push here and flip this one last time before the match ends.
No problem at all touching the point as Quidgeable gets his foot on it. 99% overtime finally beginning to dwindle down. LTO engages here with another faithful wrecking ball slam. Transcendence comes through to keep everyone on Champlain alive. High noon popped by Rezo, finds Larnio, and that opens things up here for Boise. They've got the 6v5 advantage. Quidgeable closes some distance onto the Sigma, isolates him on the left side, but is desuited. Icy getting the grapple kill onto Lawyer. Frosty falling to Narbles, and Boise State with a bit of momentum as it's a 4 versus 2 here. Just have to deal with these pesky tanks, and they do one by one and get the flip with their backs against the wall.
Narbles had a fantastic freeze there, freezing Luxy before he could get the Gravitic Flux slam off, taking him out, absolutely out of the ult, making the ult irrelevant, making sure he is not useful in that fight. What a great time to freeze that tank, and it looks like Luxy swapping from Sigma to Roadhog here for this last bit here. I'm assuming he's trying to get some good picks here. Nice pick potential with that Roadhog over the Sigma. We'll see how it works for him, good or bad.
Just another hero to maybe yank someone off of that high ground, pick off a squishy target, but it's going to be tough. Especially with the ultimate in the bank. But oh, that hook after using the jump pad was almost a very flashy move there from Luxy, but LTO gets the kill onto Rezo. It's a couple kills traded into 5 versus 5 on the point. Tac visor popped on the left side by Lawyer, takes down Narbles. Champlain looking to get this one back. That Diva is desuited. Can they deal with the Lucio and the Wrecking Ball? It looks like Icy pops that proximity mine, but it's not going to be enough as this one flips back toward Champlain. Overtime ticks down. Moira touches the point. Not sure how long she's going to last as Pleb is erased by a headshot from Frosty. Rezo is on the Tracer in a last-ditch effort to get some percentage, maybe flip this one back, but the Transcendence keeps everyone alive. Connor, I think this is going to do it.
It looks like they're staggering in here. Cridgeable going in. Beat is dropped as well. Icy slamming down. Bomb gets no one. They're staggering down. Diva back in her mech. Gets demexed now, but Pleb is back. Ready to get some heals on point and contest as Moira still taking damage. Rezo could not get a touch. That'll do it. Champlain College takes this match, takes this map, takes these games.
I mean, that was just what we expected. Rank 2 versus Rank 3 in the Champion Division, going 3 maps, going 3 points on control. And in the end, I mean, we know exactly what play this is. Second round of Oasis. Boops won. Don't worry, he's getting right back up there. And he's going to find both tanks. And look at his ultimate on the bottom of your screen. Up to 41% in the first 15 seconds of the round. That's an incredible play from Trax on Lucio.
Lucio plays are high risk, high reward sometimes, diving into the entire enemy team, but he did it very, very well. He used his environment to his advantage, and he did everything he needed to do to assist his team. You know, fantastic support play by Troc. You know, that was a great game by both teams tonight. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight. You know, go ahead and follow our socials at NECC Games, NECC_games. I'd like to thank our sponsors, HyperX, Helix Esports, ESTV, and the NFL Alumni Association for everything they do with us. You know, I'd like to thank, you know, Berkley Stevens for casting with me tonight. It's been a pleasure. Great night tonight. Great games of Overwatch.
Always fun.
And just thank you to everyone that tuned in today. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time.